Redditors, what are you angry about right now? After 10 long years of loyal service, I got sick. Coughing, fever, hard time breathing, etc. Was told to take the week off. I'm not working in a restaurant like this. Go to file my weekly unemployment, because we were only back at half our hours and the boss had cancelled my uninsurance. Highly illegal. My right hand man showed up to work with a temperature of 101. Was sent home and we were both talked for faking it, because we wanted the unemployment. Absolutely not the case. I called my right hand man. He had heard what was said about us, and called to put in his 2 weeks notice and was sworn at and hung up on. I had us both a job in a week and I'm still contemplating filing a lawsuit. Seriously, frick that company with a 10-foot barge pole. File that lawsuit. Frick them. Call that lawyer beast. Hope you win. You were entitled to use the FFCRA 2 weeks paid sick days if this happened after the 1st of April. Also never work off the clock is illegal under the FLSA and NY state rules. Your case could be seen as retaliation against wanting to use the FFCRA and you were supposed to be informed about this new federal regulation with at least the poster in your workplace. A client that didn't treat me all too well and demanded way more work than they paid for is now months late with their payment. Screw crappy clients, man. I'm in the same boat, but I'm the client. We're building a home and we had a contractor come in and do the cabinets because he's good at his job. He did it just fine and the company we are building with, they do logistics of the whole build process, has not paid him for over a month. He's pissed at the company who is doing the logistics and we are too. The man is a good cabinet maker and we want him paid, but the dumbass logistics company is fricking it up. Construction. Screw crappy clients. Usually not advisable. Keep your business dealings professional. Understandable. Have a nice day. Someone smashed my car window and stole my purse. Any chance of stealing the person who stole from you? I have a hard time making friends and it's frustrating to see how easy it is for other people. The way I found round this is act like everyone is already your friend. 90% of the time their brain just seems to be like, oh I guess we like this person then and boom. Friends. This is some underrated advice. This is exactly how finding friends works. I think we all are social and want friends and from the other person's perspective you just made it easy for them. Oh yeah. I made a friend, and it was all because she just started talking to me. Looking back I remember feeling a little awkward at the beginning, but she would always come to me and over time hanging out with her became natural. It was like she was doing all the work. A bad tooth that has been causing me so much pain that I want to cry, I want a hug. Go see a dentist. My stepfather nearly died when he ignored a toothache, because it turned out to be an infection which was making its way up to his brain. He would have died in another 48 hours according to the dentist. That escalated quickly as frick. I was just about to mow the lawn then my dad was like you have to go mow the lawn now, and now I don't wanna do it. Bingo. I did the same thing growing up. I still do sometimes, and I'm 33. It was never because I didn't feel like it, or I thought the person was wrong. For me, it's about being recognized for doing it on my own. When my mother used to yell at me to do my homework, I wouldn't. If I did, she wouldn't praise me for being a responsible young man. She'd comment that she made me do it, and that I'd never do anything right otherwise. If I mowed the lawn, it was because I beat her to the punch and simply decided to. The moment she opened her mouth, she had bragging rights to take credit for forcing me into doing it, which took away from any sense of personal responsibility or pride I had in myself. Bad parenting 101. Yeah, so many parents don't understand the importance of enforcing positive behaviors and ignoring more of the negative behaviors, unless it's extremely negative. It's less work on both the parents and children. Very similar experience growing up. The worst part of it, to me, was not necessarily the bragging rights to forcing me for each individual instance of something. It was the bragging rights to any and all success, grades, activities, or social, as being a direct result of her parenting, and therefore her successes. But all failures were on me and me alone and I was punished accordingly. though never rewarded for the successes, of course, because they were what was expected. Of course, now as a full-fledged adult, and several years out of the house, these attitudes still continue, even though I'm acutely aware of them, call out the resulting comments, behaviors, and try to quash them. It's especially frustrating when I hit a personal milestone, or cultivate a behavior I'm proud of, and she trots out a whole spiel about how she always tried to teach XYZ, once again claiming credit for something I had to learn, completely separate from her influences. It's especially infuriating since my biggest growths as an adult, as mentalities or practices I've had to learn and implement myself are usually directly in spite of how I was raised, and involve a very laborious unlearning of behaviors or beliefs I held because of her parenting, including the struggle against believing nothing I do is ever good enough, or that my measures of success and personal value have to be defined by outside standards set by others. After a certain point, I realized she'll always be convinced of her infinitely positive influence on everything I achieve, and that arguing never works, because she will always remember things very differently, and that the best I can do is just try to clearly model healthier attitudes and behaviors and hope she chooses to learn from them, even if she needs to tell herself that I learned them from her. Ultimately, I've realized that the narrative she chooses to apply to my life, and her involvement in it, doesn't change what I know to be true about my experience, nor who I am. But if she finds a way to fit better behaviors or ways of thinking into the beliefs she needs to hold onto about our relationship and ultimately herself, then so be it. At least there is a path for her to develop some healthier behaviors, even if she clings to a certain level of denial while cultivating them. Same with my mom. I've even talked to her about this on numerous occasions, and her constantly disrespecting my boundaries is what hurts the most. Well, I'll be honest, I'm a little miffed that I've been taking precautions for months to avoid catching, spreading COVID by wearing a mask, distancing, washing my hands religiously, etc., and yet here I lay tonight with a wonderful cough and a fever of 102. Same, man. New job, 1.5 weeks in. I wore my mask and used hand sanitizer like crazy. My coworkers didn't wear masks and made fun of me for being a germaphobe. Lo and behold, one of them was around someone who had it, and now a third of my office has tested positive, including me. So here I lay, fighting off a pandemic disease while I get praying for you texts from my in-laws who refuse to wear masks. I'm religious, and still I want to tell them to take their prayers and shove them up their asses. But I'm too exhausted to argue anymore. I'm just so upset this happened to me. Hope you feel better soon, Corona bro. Or sis. Oh wow. I'm dealing with similar mentality here. My BFF makes fun of us for being strict and not socializing, while they go to dinner parties and BBQs and pool parties with no masks. BFF more like bad stupid fman. Bad fricking friend. Fix that for you. Fricks me off no end. I have outright refused to go see my 90-plus-year-old grandparents, because I and my wife have worked right through. Yet I'm now having to not see them, because wankers can't keep 2 meters away from me while I work. Honestly no idea, but that's not stopping me. I just woke up after a dream that some guy grabbed my ass, and just as I was retaliating I woke up. So now I'm all mad, but I have no idea who to be mad at. My company reduced our work hours at the end of February, but said we could use vacation days in order to keep getting paid full time. They have since extended the reduced work week until the end of August. I'm all out of holiday entitlement and I'm now on 60% pay. This wouldn't be so bad, but I took on a few grand in debt to be able to afford to move to a new city for this job. My expenses have quadrupled and I was just about keeping my head above water on full pay. I am desperately looking for a new job back in my old city, but obviously a lot of people are in the same situation. Also, my tenancy agreement states that if I move out before my agreement ends in December that I am liable for rent payments until a new tenant is found. At this rate I'm going to end up sleeping on my mum's couch until I can sort my life out. I am miserable and it really makes me angry that both my work contract and tenancy agreement are out to frick me. We didn't get any kind of stimulus package here in the UK, although there is talk of a £500 shopping voucher at some point in the future. I wish that I had never taken this job, but I was desperate. I never thought I would end up feeling so isolated and angry. I'm kinda going through the same bullet. It sucks. That first paragraph pissed me off. What a thing for a company to do. May I ask what field that company is in? I'm a sound and projection technician for cinemas across the UK and Europe. I'm angry about autocorrect changing Redditors is to resistors is in my first attempt at this post. That would irritate me too. We had enough autocorrects for 8 days, but I got infuriated after just one. The funny thing is resistors is still makes sense in the context of your question.